All right, it's Q101. James Van Osdol backstage at one of the last two Smashing Pumpkins concerts at the United Center. I'm joined by Billy Corgan. And what kind of emotions go through your head walking into one of your last two shows? Do you feel anxiety? Are you relieved? Are you stressed?
More than anything, I just want it to be like a normal show. I don't really want to think about significance and all this other stuff because then I can't play. I mean, because you're too emotional, you get too sort of bent out of shape. So it's very emotional, I mean, even being in the United Center, and it's like, I saw the Bulls win championships here, So it means a lot for me as a person to even be in this building. And, I'm, used to come hang out with Chris Chelios after the Hawks games here. And so it's pretty heavy for me to even be here. So
Sure. Now, when you were planning these, you weren't even sure if there would be a last U.S. tour, which there wasn't. And here you are, the last two shows. Was there a thought to include Darcy in these shows to bring the whole thing to a full circle?
Yeah, no, so I don't really know because it's not, any of those thoughts haven't come from me. I have no sort of communication with her, so I'm not mad or anything. It's just, we sort of just left it at a spot. And
here's where you're at.
Yeah.
So the breakup. Was there?
Let's get to the meat in this 10 minutes.
That's what led us right here.
All right, it's a fair question.
Was there one particular thing, or was this a gradual series of events that led to you saying, you know what, let's call it a day?
Yeah. No, I've been asked this question a lot recently, and with good reason. And we always had a thing where before every album from Siamese Dream on, we'd sit down and have a meeting, and we'd discuss the issues, and everybody would sort of air out, like, what they were angry about from the year and a half before, and you said this, and it was a way of sort of saying, let's put a stop on what came before, and let's sort of look to the future. And there was sort of a general feeling in the air that we'd sort of reached that point. So when we sat down and had the talk about working with Jimmy again, the four of us, not without Jimmy, we discussed Jimmy coming back, and we discussed that maybe this was the time to sort of put the band to bed. And everybody agreed. There was no dissenting opinion. Everybody sort of felt the same. We've always sort of been on the same wavelength, and it's impossible to explain the reasons. There was no incident. There was no pie throwing, or, I mean, we've been through some pretty tough stuff. So
you've seen incredible highs and incredible lows.
Absolutely. So to look for sort of the needle in the haystack moment, there wasn't one. It just, we personally felt that our lives individually and our sort of connective relationships couldn't sustain the music beyond this album and this tour at as high a level as we would want. And only we know the difference, I'm
a big fan of quitting while you're on top. Mm-hmm. Leave when you know it's a comfortable exit point and you can feel good about it.
Right.
So in that respect, I completely respect that decision.
Yeah.
And I remember hearing around the time of the announcement, you'd hear the quote that we can't compete with the Britneys of the world. And that's not the enemy.
That's what I get for making a joke,
And yeah, exactly. And God knows over the past 10, 12 years, you've been taken very literally in the press, and I know that it's been an issue.
If people are stupid enough to think that Britney Spears is going to take me down, I mean, come on.
Yeah, you make music.
I've beaten a lot worse than Britney Spears down.
This is true. When you were on the Tonight Show a couple weeks ago, no sooner do you announce the breakup and go through the motions of breaking up, then people start talking about a reunion. When you're done, Leno walked up to you guys and said, well, I guess we'll see you at the reunion.
Yeah.
And you had a look in your face like, are you kidding me? What were you thinking when you said that? Were you on the spot?
I was laughing because he came in to say hello in the dressing room before the show. And I made a joke about, he said, why are you guys breaking up, And, I said, oh, Jay, it's so complicated, And he said, well, you're always welcome here. And then I made a joke like, hey, we'll see you on the comeback tour, something like that. And he's like, yeah, so I think that stuck in his mind. So when he said that, I was like, I wasn't being serious.
Can we not talk about this now?
It's okay, but, no, I mean, for sure. I mean, this really is the end, for sure.
I think we all get that sense, and which, not to add extra drama to the shows, but this is a pretty big deal.
It's a big deal.
It's staggering to see.
Oh, well, thank you. I mean, I don't think even the band fully can understand it. It's one of those things. I think it'll hit us like 6 months, a year down the road.
Or even Sunday morning, I'd imagine.
No, Sunday morning is going to be a lot of hangovers. So
okay, I believe that. Well, let's talk about the band. Over the years, you started out. There was a self-fulfilling prophecy. Smashing Pumpkins. We are going to be a big band.
Right.
How much of that was conviction, and how much of that was just swagger?
It was more swagger at that point than conviction. We used to sit backstage at the Avalon nightclub before we would play in front of 50 people, and I used to say to the band, we're going to be the biggest band in the world. And where I got that from was the Beatles used to say, they had a saying, to the toppermost of the poppermost. It was a Beatles saying, but it was the Beatles' way of saying, if we hang together, we're going to get where we want to get. And so you say stuff like that, but the chances of it ever even coming true are ridiculous. But we needed to believe that there was something more from us than just being the headline band at the local club or being the cool indie band of the moment. It wasn't enough for us to sort of sacrifice everything that the Pumpkins sacrificed. The band for us has never been like a lifestyle choice. Like some people, they play music and it's like, oh yeah, I hang out at bookstores. For the Pumpkins, the band was our life. And if we didn't believe that it meant something more than normal things, and it was going to have some sort of depth to it, we couldn't have done it. We wouldn't have put ourselves through what we put ourselves through. I guess that's the only way I can explain it.
That makes sense. In hindsight, now that you're at this moment in time where you are, I'm sure, plenty reflective, is there something that you would have done differently? Was there a misstep along the way that you say, man, you shouldn't have done that?
I would say the biggest probably mistake that we made is not keeping the lineup intact. We made some rash decisions, particularly firing Jimmy in the wake of what happened in New York. We got some really poor advice, and we were way in over our heads at that moment. We were on MTV every 2 seconds, and we were the #1 alternative band in the world. And it's impossible to explain to anybody what that feels like, but you feel like you're on top of this wave that's going 1,000 miles an hour. And our management sort of promoted the idea that you can't stop. If you stop, this wave will just keep going on without you, which of course isn't true. And we really should have just taken a break. We should have taken some time off. Everyone should have gone to Fiji or something and chilled out. Because, and this is no disrespect to the other musicians that have played with us, but the Smashing Pumpkins is Billy James, Darcy, and Jimmy. And it's been painful in the band to play without the 4 members. And it's been, not painful is not the right word, but it's been so generous of other people to lend themselves into something that's obviously such a close-knit family, and particularly with Melissa Oftemar. She's really sacrificed her whole year to keep this band going, so we owe her a lot, because when Darcy bowed out, we didn't even know where to turn, and she's the only person we did turn to, so she really helped us get through a difficult time.
And she's been a fantastic presence, seeing her on stage with you guys a few times over the past year.
Yeah, I can't say enough good things about her coming into such a closed situation, and really probably only could do it because she's a friend.
She was invited into the clubhouse.
Yeah, now she wants out. Yeah. She's had enough of our clubhouse.
Yeah. See you guys later. We'll see. With these last 2 shows, you've done a million shows, places like the Avalon, which hold however many people, 100 people, to massive enormodomes. Was there one night in particular, one show that you think that can never be recreated, that was magical?
Well, there's 2 shows that immediately popped to mind. There was a time when the band in 1990 was sort of being built up as the next band that was going to get signed, and the alternative frenzy was just starting to begin. And a lot of people came out to Chicago to see us play, and a lot of them were saying, "This band will never sell records. We're not interested." A lot of people passed on us. They said the guy's voice is too weird. It'll never happen. So it was sort of scary, because then you sort of started to get the feeling, well, if nobody wants to sign us, then we're sort of like, it's like, we've gone as high as we can go, and we're only going to go down from here. So we had a show where all these record label people flew in, and we played at the Lounge Acts. And it was really the show where it was like, if the band wasn't amazing, it was probably the end of the band right there, because we had to prove to these people that we were worth putting out a record. And we played, like our lives depended on it. And I think that was, the band always had the ability to rise up to that level. The other show was an interesting thing. We played in Portugal in a bull ring for 12,000 people in a rainstorm. 1 week before the show, we'd only sold 700 tickets out of 12,000. And I called up the manager and I said, I think we should cancel this show. I mean, this is 700 people in a bull ring. It's going to be like a Three Stooges episode. And he said, I've talked to the promoter, and they say that it's a slow market. They always come at the last second. Trust me. So we trusted, and the people who were there said it was the most magical night they ever saw the band. And we actually have the thing on tape, so hopefully someday we can release that. Because there was something that just happened. Portuguese audiences in particular are the greatest audiences that I've ever played in front of. They'll sing every word to every song, no matter how obscure it is. I mean, it's insane.
That's your fans. I mean, there's something chemical between you and your audience.
Yeah, so...
On your way out, you left us this album, and in true Smashing Pumpkins form, you changed the rules for releasing an album. I don't even know if Rolling Stone would review this album, or if
no, they didn't.
Haven't.
But they didn't.
Machina 2.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's an album. It exists, but it's not worth reviewing because it's not through the traditional pipeline.
And some of these songs, like, they could easily have been singles. They easily could have been commercial hits.
Right.
People say this is the big screw you to your former record label. What's reality?
The reality is that the band sort of grew tired of the traditional systems, and we were presented an opportunity where our parent record company, Virgin Records America, wasn't that interested in Machina 2 because they weren't happy with the sales of Machina 1. Not whether or not it was a good artistic record or whether it would give the whole Machina, both albums, another chance in the marketplace. They made a financial decision that it wasn't worth the trouble to them. If you've seen the reaction to Machina 2, particularly the fans seem to like Machina 2 much better than Machina 1. And, like I said, it hasn't been reviewed. Lucky like De Regatas here reviewed it and stuff like that. But because it wasn't part of the traditional media, it just shows the fans that if you don't exist in that Whitney Houston pipeline, you don't exist in this world. And that ought to tell the fans something, that everybody in that pipeline is playing the game. So we were presented with an opportunity where we tried to go through the traditional system. It didn't really work for us at that moment, so we said, forget it, we'll just put it out ourselves. And it's been probably one of the greatest things we've ever done because it reemphasizes what the Pumpkins is about, which is that the music is the most important thing. And that's where we come from.
And what I really, besides the music, I just like the fact that if I'm an artist, I'm in a band, this is inspiring to me.
Oh, thank you.
You hear people like Chuck D talk about this all the time. You don't need the conventional framework to put out a record. And this says, yeah, you know what? You don't. If you believe in music, get it out
this
there.
is sort of money where your mouth is. I mean, putting out Machina 2 for free, for sure cost the Pumpkins millions of dollars, but that's never been the Pumpkins' MO. These shows in particular, it's not a cheap ticket, but if you look at, what anybody else coming through town is charging, I mean, it's easily 50% of what other people are charging coming through town for tickets. So
absolutely.
Particularly the Backstreet Boys with a $65 ticket, And we could have charged all these fans $65. They all still would have come because it's the last shows. But that's not what the band's about,
That's the spirit. That's
the alternative spirit.
That's exactly what I was going to say. It's that sense of community that has been diluted and lost over the years.
Right.
But that's legitimate. Pearl Jam still has that sense and that
the Pumpkins feel very strongly that the Pumpkins owe more to the fans than the fans owe the Pumpkins. That's the way we look at it, and that's the way we operate. I mean, at some point, yes, we do get something for it. But if you look at all the things the Pumpkins have done, it's always been more for the fans than for the band.
Charity shows and so forth.
Absolutely.
The next obvious question, what happens next?
I don't know. Did they ever put out Spinal Tap 2? I need to see where Spinal Tap 2 picks up.
I hear rumors of you becoming part of the Hollywood Illuminati. I heard a rumor you're moving to California.
No, I can shoot down that rumor.
I heard a rumor of...
I've lived in California. It's not for me.
You're a Midwestern guy.
Well, I'm out of here, too. I want to sort of...
At heart.
I'm totally a Midwestern guy at heart. Are you kidding? Please. Go Cubs, but,
Record mogul, I've heard that rumor.
Yeah, I don't know. I've been a Pumpkin for so long, it's sort of weird. I don't really know how I'm going to feel, I got to sort of not be a Pumpkin for a while and see if... I mean, I may want to do exactly the same things I've been doing, but I have a feeling I'm going to want to do it just a little bit differently.
You've got time to shake out the cobwebs and figure
I hope so. I mean, I still look pretty young for my age, and life is good. And
you're fit as a fiddle.
Yeah, kind of.
So you have a surprise.
Yes, I have a great surprise today.
And we've been talking about this. I have no idea what this is.
You have no idea what this is?
I have somewhat
really?
of an idea.
I thought you were in on everything.
I'm kind of in it. People have been dying to know what this is. What's your surprise, Billy Corgan?
My surprise is that... That's horrible English, sorry.
You're not being graded.
my surprise is the Pumpkins went into the studio one last time and recorded a brand new song. So we have a brand new song for everyone as our sort of special see you later song. And what's kind of funny about this song is that everybody that I've played it for, friends of mine and stuff, they say, God, it sounds just like the Pumpkins, you know? It's like, but the Pumpkins that everybody knows from like the old days. And we have to laugh because we can always be that Pumpkins. It's never been a problem. So the Pumpkins that have been on Adore, the Pumpkins that have been on Machina, the sort of stranger, crazier, more heavy metal Pumpkins, is something that we try to do to sort of find new things and create new energies. But the Pumpkins that are very familiar to people, that's never left. It's always been sort of waiting there. So I think this is a nice way of saying goodbye. Thank you very much. And at the same time say, see, we could have done this all along. We've just proven you wrong one more time.
Well, what's this called?
This is called Untitled.
Easy enough. Billy Corgan, Smashing Pumpkins, congratulations.
Thank you.
On a truly amazing career. As a lifelong Chicagoan, it's been inspiring to watch what you've done, just representing the city and what you've done for music. You helped spark a revolution.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I'm excited about these two shows, excited to hear this song. Godspeed. What you've done, just representing the city and what you've done for music. You helped spark a revolution.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I'm excited about these two shows, excited to hear this song. Godspeed.
Rock on, people.